2025 is 50% completed, so it's a pretty good time to wrap up the best base builders that have released this year. And there have been a couple of fantastic entries, new entries, into the genre. Anyway, as part of a little series that I'm doing, I'm recapping the best strategy games that have released in 2025. You can see all of the different categories on screen right now. If you're not subscribed for the other videos, then get subscribed so you can be notified when they go live. Anyway, let's get right on in to the base builders. We are starting this list off strong, incredibly strong, and I think this is a contender for my game of the year. This is the Altars, and it's a base builder, but it's so much more than a base builder. It's an exploration sci-fi game that explores the idea of being alone, what it means to be an individual. You play as a single character, but you're soon able to clone yourself into multiple little versions of yourself, but they all are slightly different in unique and interesting ways. I don't really want to say too much more about this game because it really is very special, very unique, very interesting. It's currently sitting at 88% positive over on Steam, so the vast majority of people are in agreement that this is an excellent game. As I say, base building is just an element of it, but it is a very large and very important element because you build this sort of massive base that can transit around a planet, and you basically need to constantly keep moving, otherwise you'll die. Anyway, as I say, I don't really want to say too much. Suffice to say, if you're interested, then you should absolutely check out the Altars because it is absolutely exceptional. It really is very good. And yeah, as I say, a contender for my game of the year. The Altars, linked down in the description below, alongside every other game that you can check out on Steam. It's a bit hard to come off the back of a game like The Altars, but Nordhold does a darned good job of being almost just as good, I would say. I really enjoyed my time with this. This is a base builder where you have to build up a town or a city, I suppose. You have to upgrade that during the day. You have to allocate resources. And then over the course of the evening, you need to defend the town. You need to place towers along a route, a predetermined route that enemies are going to take. And over the course of multiple games, you are able to get bigger defenses, better defenses, and you're able to make more money and more profit and hopefully keep your town safer for longer. The meta progression system, I really like. I think it works really well, and you know, the time that I've spent in this game, it really feels like you're getting sequentially more and more powerful over time. It just sort of smashes and smooshes a bunch of strategy genres together in a really nice way that initially I didn't think would really fit together. But Nordhold is an excellent game. Very much enjoyed my time with it. You can check out a link to my little video of it up in the top right-hand corner right about now. Cataclismo is a fortress builder. You have to build a castle and you have to defend against endless hordes of horrors in a real-time sort of strategy environment. There's lots of management aspects as well. You also have to cater for a town. That means that you constantly have to keep it stocked with resources, keep all of the goods flowing, but at the same time, you know, don't devote too much time to the management of your town because you need to make sure that your walls are nice and thick and well defended so that you are able to repel the enemies. I think this is just a really sort of sleek and slick castle builder. Castle builders are, you know, some of my favorite games, you know, think Stronghold, etc. And in fact, there's a few castle builders on this list, but I think Cataclismo is probably the example that I would point to of doing it best. And that's, you know, no mistake. It's published by Hooded Horse, so very high bar, but Cataclismo easily surpasses that bar for me. 90% positive on Steam, unbelievably well liked and well regarded. It hit 1.0 in March, and it's just a fantastic game that you should absolutely check out if you haven't already. Again, linked up in the top right hand corner right now if you want to see me play a little bit of it. What's that, I hear you ask? Is that another castle builder? It is, but it's a very different take on a castle builder. This is, I would say, Not necessarily more of a casual game, even though it looks kind of Minecrafty. I actually think this is maybe, in a sense, a more hardcore castle builder than Cataclismo. But this is just very sort of different in how granular you can get. You play as a sort of individual character. You go about the world. You have to sort of contribute to the defense of your kingdom. You have a king to protect. You build up multiple different castles throughout your journey. But there's stuff like, traps, and there's holes that you can dig, and you can get really, really sort of granular with your castle design. I don't necessarily think that it is worse or better than Cataclismo, although I definitely have my preference, and that's probably Cataclismo. I think that Castlecraft is just another take on the genre, and I think it works really, really well. There's also, by the way, some huge trebuchets and big old ballistas and catapults and stuff, and it is very, very satisfying to destroy enemies from a sort of handcrafted castle that you have painstakingly built. It's very good. It's still in early access, so there is a lot of mileage yet to go on this one. All of the caveats come with early access, obviously, but the foundation, which I have played and enjoyed, is very, very strong indeed. Is this another castle builder? Is this another base builder that is set around a castle? Yes, it is. But this is also a completely different take on a castle builder, base builder, kind of a city builder, but I would say more of a base builder. It's a hero-based RPG game that puts you in the role of the hero who needs to protect their home. So that means that you have to build up your castle, you have to defend and explore the sort of world around you, but there are also enemies that will occasionally decide to come and attack you. Again, I think this is just another really interesting take on the castle builder. I think you could play Cataclismo, Castlecraft, and Darfall and not be fed up building castles and building bases. I think these are three excellent different interpretations of a very similar genre. Entered into full release in May of 2025, published by Paradox Arc. And it's rated at 80% positive on Steam. So yeah, excellent game. Darfall, very much enjoyed my time with this one too. Right, this is slightly less of a castle builder. I'm not putting together a full list of castle builders. This is definitely a base builder, but it does have castle building elements, I suppose. This is Wool at the Gates. Now, Wool at the Gates, on its surface, looks quite similar to Thronefall, right? So it is that sort of top-down action RTS. You build your defenses and your base in those sort of specific locations. You have to try and defend against waves, and in between the waves, you are trying to collect sort of cash for your economy in order to sort of drive the growth that you need in order to build more defenses. That's the sort of basic premise of Thronefall, and it's the basic premise of Wool at the Gates. What Wool at the Gates does differently is that it kind of has all of this sort of class system that you can use to power your economy. I think it's kind of a step beyond Thronefall, actually. I think, looking at Thronefall and Wool at the Gates might give you the impression that these are two similar games, and they are very, they're definitely very similar, but there are a lot of distinctions, and I really like Wool at the Gates. I like what it does with regards to classes. I like how much variety and how many buildings you can actually build, and just sort of sheer scale that you can develop throughout the course of the game. It's a bit more indie. It released into early access in May of 2025. So yeah, there's a lot here, but it's also $5 over on Steam. So there's a lot of content for that amount of cash. And as I say, I really enjoy my time with it. I think it's a great game. Zombie Cure Lab. This is a bit of an interesting one. You play as, I guess, the operator, the manager of a lab that is trying to find a cure for the zombies that have taken over the world. And I think the premise of this game is fantastic, because what it ends up doing is it ends up forcing you to convert the zombies into workers, and you have to manage all of the aspects that come with that. So on one level, it's a sort of very simple base builder and base defender, about defending against zombies and building up a base and making sure that you've got enough vegetable patches growing and you're scavenging enough scrap. all good and fine. However, there comes a point in the game where you are able to start turning the zombies into helpful, or semi-helpful, I should say, accomplices. And that's kind of when the game sort of flips on its head. It did enter 1.0. It is 69%, nice, positively reviewed on Steam. I think it does have its flaws. It's definitely not a perfect base builder, a perfect implementation of the idea, but I think that what it does with what it has is interesting enough that if you are hardcore into base builders, which I'm presuming that you are if you've gotten if you've gotten through this list and have clicked on this video, then you should probably give it a look just to see if it's up your street. Don't necessarily commit to buying it, check out my video on it if indeed you're interested in more information and how it plays. But yeah, very interesting concept, pretty cool implementation. I kind of enjoyed this one. So this is actually a game that I put off playing for quite a long time, mostly because I'm not a fan of like horror games or games that are overly sort of filled with puzzles. But this is Anoxia Station. This is an underground base builder. It's turn-based, which makes it quite interesting and I suppose contentious at the same time. But it's actually got a lot going for it. I mean, it's a little bit spooky, so maybe if that's not your thing, like it is for me, then that might put you off. But in actuality, I didn't find it that bad, to be honest. You are underground. You have to drill. You have to mine. You have to explore the darkness. You have to make choices for your crew, and you have to deploy your crew to different locations depending on what resources that you need. It is a bit puzzly, so that's maybe a little bit off-putting for some people. But I actually think this is a really, really solid base builder, and it really forces you to justify your decisions, and it forces you to think about what you are going to do, which I think is a fantastic element of base builders. You really, really need to think about where you're going to place different buildings and where you're going to target your different weapons to try and honestly destroy these horrific-looking creatures. I mean, just the most evil, disgusting things that you are going to see in a base builder. But yeah, I think this game is great. I think this game is really, really good. It's pretty darn indie. I think it's got a very niche sort of like little audience. But if you're one of those people out there that loves horror, loves base builders, then yeah, this one is absolutely up your street. Subnautica, but set in the sky. I mean, that is literally what Forever Skies is. And that sounds a little bit derivative and dismissive to say, but heck, if I don't flippin' love this game. It's fantastic. It's all about building an airship as you get further into the game. As you explore more and more, you are able to add more parts to your airship. You're able to go higher. You're able to, collect scrap from, deep down below, because you are flying pretty darn high up in the sky. The sort of premise of this one is that Earth is completely ruined and the ground is completely untouchable, and so therefore you spend the entire game, or at least most of the game, I suppose, flying between different skyscrapers and high points in the map. I think this is just a really great base builder, to be honest. I don't think there's much more to say. I think it's a great base builder. I think there's great exploration elements. You can play it solo. You can play it with friends. There's lots of tech to implement. You can end up building a massive sort of sky fortress. I think it comes together in a really, really nice way. It's not too complicated. You can just get on and build your base and have a grand old time. Entered full release in April of 2025. So yeah, it's 1.0 now. Great time to pick it up if you are wanting to play it yourself or play it with a few friends. And last, but by absolutely no means least, we have got Survival Machine. Survival Machine is a base builder, but the base is a big old moving truck. Now, this moving truck, you can build a whole bunch of infrastructure on the back of it. You can build production facilities. You can build facilities that allow you to sort of help defend against zombies, of which you will encounter a large number over the course of this game. You need to explore the world. You need to interact with it in certain ways in order to progress along your journey. You can check out my link to my video up in the top right-hand corner right now. I think this is a little bit rough around the edges, to be honest, but I really enjoyed my time with it. And you can also play with friends. So if you fancy building a base on the back of a big old truck, then, well, you can do that. It's fantastic. There's zombies. You destroy the zombies. You build stuff. you build a big old base. What more can you ask for? All right, and that is it. That's the 10 best base builders that have released in 2025 thus far. If you haven't already, check out all of the other videos that I am making right now. However, don't click away from the video quite yet, because we have got a few bonus games that you might be interested in playing. Also base builders, very interesting, very cool, that I'd also recommend that you check out. This is a very indie base builder / automation style game that you can pick up. It's still in early access at the moment, but I think the premise that is here is really, really promising, and I hope more people play it because I really enjoyed my time with it. This is Deep Space Directive. It pitches itself as a resource management without micromanagement. So you need to build, defend, and optimize an industrial colony in a sort of hex-based world. There's a lot to this game. There's sort of a defense element as well, so you need to defend against like bug-type creatures. But it's all about logistics. It's all about expanding. It's all about sending resources back upstairs to a sort of like mothership sort of style thing. I think it's just a really great implementation of a base builder. So yeah, a bit indie, a bit chill, a bit under the radar, but definitely check it out if you're interested in sort of like more unique little base builders. Next up, we have a game that I'm very excited for. There's a demo available right now. This is called There Are No Orcs. This is a bit more of a sort of out there base builder. It's kind of a city builder. It's kind of got RTS elements. It's kind of got auto battler elements as well. You build up a town, a base. You build up a town of people that are defending against orcs. There's so much more to it than just that, but that's, I mean, the basic premise, and you have to sort of sequentially try and make sure that you don't get swarmed or overwhelmed by them, which can definitely happen. I played the demo on the channel. Full release is coming at some point in Q3 of 2025, so wishlist it if indeed you are interested. But yeah, check out the demo for now if this seems up your street. And last on the list of bonus games, we've got Sintopia. Sintopia is a base builder, city builder, management game that is set simultaneously on the surface of a planet and also in the hell of that planet, which makes for a really interesting dichotomy. You've got to sort of kill people on the surface, and then you have to cleanse them of their sins down below, not for, you know, any reason other than to make a ridiculous profit and cause more chaos and hellish stuff. It's a really great combination of elements, to be honest. There's base building here, there's god game mechanics here, there's management mechanics, there's automation mechanics. This one's got it all. Can't wait for this one to release in September of 2025. At the time of recording, there is a demo available, so definitely check it out, along with all of the other bonus games that I've listed here. But yeah, Sintopia. Oh, can't wait for this one. So that's it. What have you been playing this year? What base builders have you enjoyed over the course of 2025? I would suspect that you might enjoy the altars if you haven't already played it, because that is just an absolutely world-class, excellent game. Really want to go back to playing more of that, to be honest, as soon as I'm done with this. But yeah, what do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. But for now, and for me, ladies and gentlemen, thank you ever so much for watching. I've been Oba the Potato. I'll catch you next time. Bye.